half a God who knew that the worst sin is to take what cannot be given back. I smile and bow, and the world is loud. And though I dare not lean in to shout, "Can't you see that I'm deaf?" I also cannot stop listening. It's that. Thank you. Thank you. Once I began to see Beethoven as a human being, as a man, and not as a figure, so much began to become clear. Because there were these little mentions in Mrs. Poppendiek's journal, even with the boy, about how flamboyant the young boy's playing was. Little mentions like that. I suddenly realized that once Beethoven heard him and saw him play, that he also realized that he could watch him play and hear him play by watching him play, and that was part of the, also part of the connection. It's a great story, and I'm not going to go into it, but you can buy the book and read it. But it's great stuff because Beethoven didn't finish it until the night before. And the concert was at 7 in the morning, which to me seems insane anyway. But by 3 a.m. he still had not, he hadn't finished copying out all the parts. And there was one part where he just told Bridgetower to basically ad-lib. Like a good jazz musician, he ad-libbed. And that's the part that many people who came to the concert commented on. They commented that Beethoven, who was playing the piano, who was doing the piano part, actually leapt up after this one solo part and embraced Bridgetower, and then they did it again. They recapped it. So if you've never listened to this sonata, I really would urge you to listen to it for a lot of reasons. Not only is it beautiful, but it's a call and response. The very beginning of it is like an African call and response, and in that the violin starts out completely without a piano or anything, just out there. And then the piano answers, and then the violin plays with it a little bit. And they go back and forth like this for a while, and you say, how in the world could a deaf pianist, play this with the violinist? And the answer is that he watched him. He watched him. They watched each other. He felt him. So I'm going to read this poem, and then I'm going to read two more, and then I'd like to give you an opportunity to have to ask some questions. But I want to read this one because it's the concert, and at the concert, which was an outdoor concert in Vienna, everybody is there for a different reason. So you're going to hear many different voices listening to this music. None of them know that Beethoven is going deaf. And they're very curious about this young black musician. So you have all sorts of people coming in. And it's called Augarden, 7 a.m. Spectator 1. Heavenly, to escape the city's poisons and breathe honey, honey, honey. All praise morning's cathedral, the ranks of noble linden presiding. May we be privileged to pass through their green light and feathered fragrance with tipped hats and mute nods. Amen. The British ambassador. There goes Shapanzik huffing up the aisle in his entrepreneurial trappings. Dear God, the man expands weekly. Ah, the Archduke. And Prince Lobkowitz, poor soul, such an unsightly specimen, and feels just as miserable as he looks. I'd have ended it years ago, gone out like a man. He's not listening to the music. Spectator 2. Curious beginning. Solo violin, reminiscent of Bach but wilder, a supplication. And the piano's reply is almost a lover's, a bird on a cliff returning its true mate's call. Child. He moves around too much. He's like a poplar in the wind. Spectator 3. For a savage, he plays quite nicely. As for his figure, tall, slim, dare I say, elegant, I'd heard he was a charmer, but never thought chimney soot applied to continents could be considered handsome. Spectator 2. What a furious storm he rides, and Beethoven listing side to side in accord with the gale, bobbing that Rumpelstiltskin head as if to say, well done, my boy. That's it, a father to his prodigal son, come home at last. British ambassador. To call this a sonata is obscene. A presto is presto, and adagio, well, slow is meant to stay slow. This Beethoven is as loopy as they say. Imagine insulting the prince when he simply requested a song, smashing figurines, dashing off in the middle of dinner. Spectator 1. I thought that infernal back and forth would never cease. A concert's meant for reverie, to drift away on nature's curative susurrations. Ah, a theme in variations. That's more like it. Child. I like his waistcoat. How can he see out from all that darkness? I'm going to make a wild leap because and let you look at all the years in between, because Bridgetower does live to a very, very distinguished age of 80, which at that time was considerable. But after he leaves Vienna and after Beethoven severs this relationship over the girl that nobody knows, he goes back and he lives his life. But he lives a life that is unremarked upon. He plays his concerts and does stuff like that, but he had missed his moment of fame. And he dies in London on the wrong side of the river at that time, on the south side, in subsidized housing. And the person who witnesses his death certificate is an illiterate woman who happened to be a neighbor. The witness. Yeah, that's him, Bridgetower. Didn't know his given name. George, eh? Like the king. Fancy, fancy for that sour pint of breath he was wheezing. Half-blood and all, though, I didn't mind him. Dusty a bit. I couldn't help brushing my sleeve after greeting, afraid he'd sprinkle some of that brown my way. Sorry, it ain't right to make fun of the fresh dead, the newly, no, I mean to say late departed, you know, them that's just cooling. So he was a fiddler, something of a stunner in his day. Days done, gone the sun. Ain't that a German song? Heard it somewhere, kinda mournful. Wonder, could he play that? I wanted to end with this last poem in the book because it does bring us kind of full circle back to the present, to that other end of that arc, that trajectory. Because I didn't proceed chronologically when I was writing the poems. I went back and forth and bounced back and forth, and there was a lot of research. It was a lot of fun. I'm a nerd, secret nerd, I admit it. But also there were times when I had to put away all the research and forget about it. And in fact, forget it, you know, even to the point of forgetting dates, so that I could just imagine these people as you and me, you know. It just so happens that they lived another time in another place. And at the very end, came the Great Reckoning, which was going back and making sure that all the dates fit, and making the chart, the timeline, making sure that there were no anachronisms. I did it that way so that I would not be wedded to the facts, but the facts still work, but that I was getting after the heart of it, and not the, as I call it, the history with a small h and not history with a capital H in this sense, but I wanted to make sure that everything jived. And another thing that I wanted to do was to go back to England, to London, now that I had made this whole journey, and to see if we could find that subsidized housing, to find that place where he had died. I knew where he was buried, and they did have that, but I wanted to see if I could figure out where it was. Now, of course, it wasn't going to be the same. And so, thank goodness for, Google Maps, MapQuest, all of that stuff. Armed with all of these different things, I dragged my husband and my daughter, actually, Aviva, came along too. And we spent a couple of days walking through London, not looking at the sights, but saying, well, from this point, I think he could have seen the palace. And people looking at us like, anyway. But we did find it in the end. The end with MapQuest. Will I cry for you, Paul Green? Will I drag out your end, though it is long past? Though I drove slowly past the place of your dying days and recorded what I knew I'd find there. Families in townhouses, a sensible Vauxhall parked askew in the carport behind the green grate. Will I tell you, whispering to no one in particular, how even the street sign seemed greasy, and that it was raining, Natch, and whenever I tried to focus on the thought of you laid out in one of those miserable Victory cottages, no turrets, no gilded palms, no jiggling regents. I had to do something, crack a joke, or snap another useless photo of the Bellington Primary School. But when we turned left to round the corner for the 5th time, it was the perfectly dismal sight of a fast food joint on the corner, Sam's Kebabs, which cheered me. Would you understand? The red and yellow neon script shouting like a Janissary band, so tacky it was buoyant, colorful, because there was no good reason to be afraid of shouting with the whole world determined not to hear you, though they tried to shut you up all the time. Do I care enough, George Augustus Bridgetower, to miss you? I don't even know if I really like you. I don't know if your playing was truly gorgeous or if it was just you, the sheer miracle of all that darkness swaying close enough to touch, palm tree and sambo and glistening tiger running circles into golden oil. Ah, Master B, little great man, tell me, how does a shadow shine? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.